think about the American Revolution, we think about Boston, Philadelphia, Yorktown. But one of the most decisive moments of the entire war happened right here in these hills, in our valleys, among our people. Just a few miles from Piney Flats, at Sycamore Shoals, ordinary frontier families gathered in September of 1780. Farmers, hunters, mothers, fathers, young men from the very communities where we live today. And they were called the Overmountain men. They were facing a terrifying threat. British Major Ferguson sent word over the mountains that if the frontiersmen did not submit, he would, and I quote, march over the mountains, hang your leaders, and lay waste your country with fire and sword. It was a death threat, not just against soldiers, but against their families, against their homes and their entire way of life. But the people of this region did not bow in fear. They gathered at Sycamore Shoals. They stood together to seek God's guidance. And there a local Presbyterian minister, Reverend Samuel Doak, who lived not too many miles from Sycamore Shoals, preached to them. He lived and ministered in the same region that we call home today, as did many of them. He was part of the same religious community that helped shape Piney Flats and Elizabethton and Watauga. Reverend Doak reminded them that freedom is a gift from God, and that resisting tyranny was not only a political act, it was a moral and spiritual duty. He prayed over the men that God would protect their families, strengthen their courage, and guide their steps. Witnesses say that many bowed their heads with tears, knowing that some would not return. These men, our men, rode out, not trained soldiers, not professionals, just frontier farmers, hunters, armed with their own rifles, rode out. They rode 30 hours straight, crossing rugged terrain to intercept Ferguson's elite British force. Men trained, equipped, and confident. On October the 7th, 1780, on a rocky ridge called King's Mountain, the Overmountain men surrounded Ferguson's troops and won one of the most overwhelming victories of the entire war. The British commander himself was killed. His entire force was defeated. And historians say this was the moment labeled the beginning of the end of British control, particularly in the South. Professional soldiers defeated by frontier believers who carried a pastor's blessing into battle. You have to remember, up until this point, things weren't going real well for the revolutionary side. Charleston had just been taken by the British. Things were not looking very well. And we can only imagine how this stirred the hearts of many others who believed in freedom as well. So this community helped secure America's independence, and the people who lived here believed deeply that God was guiding them, protecting them, and calling them to stand for what was right. Their courage, their faith, their conviction, it is part of our story. It is part of our story. It's part of your story. It's part of the story of Piney Flats United Methodist Church. May we honor their legacy, and not just with history, but with the same faith, the same courage, and the same trust in God that carried them over the mountain. May God's blessings be upon you during this wondrous holiday.